Welcome to Mind Decoded, where we explore the psychology behind human behavior. Let's decode today's topic. You know you should drink more water. You know you should floss your teeth. You know you should stretch after sitting for hours. You know you should respond to that important email. You know you should put your dishes in the dishwasher instead of leaving them in the sink. These aren't complicated tasks. They're not difficult. They don't require special skills or massive willpower. And yet somehow, they don't happen. Day after day, you skip them. You tell yourself you'll do them later. And later never comes. Here's what's actually happening. Your brain is making a calculation. It's weighing the effort required against the perceived benefit. And for small tasks with delayed payoffs, the math never works out in favor of doing it now. So you defer. You postpone. You wait for motivation that never arrives. But there's a simple rule that bypasses this entire calculation. A rule so straightforward it sounds almost too easy to work. The 2-minute rule. And once you understand how it hijacks your brain's resistance patterns, you'll wonder how you lived without it. Today on Mind Decoded, we're breaking down the 2-minute rule. Why it works when willpower fails. When to use it and when it backfires. And how to build unstoppable momentum starting right now. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This content is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered medical, psychological, or mental health advice. If you're experiencing mental health concerns, please consult with a qualified mental health professional. The 2-minute rule comes from productivity expert David Allen, and it's deceptively simple. If a task takes less than 2 minutes to complete, do it immediately. Don't defer it. Don't add it to your to-do list. Don't schedule it for later. Just do it right now. Respond to that quick email. Put the dishes away. File that document. Make that phone call. Hang up your coat. Wipe down the counter. If it takes 2 minutes or less, you do it the moment you think of it. This sounds like common sense. But common sense isn't common practice. And there's powerful neuroscience explaining why this simple rule works when more complex productivity systems fail. Let's start with what happens when you defer a small task. You tell yourself you'll do it later. Your brain registers this as a decision made. The task is handled. Except the task isn't actually handled. It's still sitting there waiting. And your brain doesn't forget about it. Psychologist Zeigarnik discovered that your brain keeps unfinished tasks active in your working memory. They create a low-level background stress that drains your mental resources even when you're not consciously thinking about them. This is the Zeigarnik Effect. Every small task you defer adds to this cognitive load. The email you need to send. The form you need to fill out. The item you need to put away. Your brain is tracking all of them simultaneously. And each one consumes a tiny slice of your attention and energy. Now multiply this by 20 or 30 small deferred tasks. You're carrying an invisible mental burden everywhere you go. You feel vaguely anxious but you can't pinpoint why. You feel overwhelmed but your actual to-do list doesn't look that bad. This is the hidden cost of deferring small tasks. The 2-minute rule closes these loops immediately. The task gets done. Your brain releases it from working memory. The cognitive load drops. And you actually feel lighter. But there's a second reason the 2-minute rule works. It eliminates decision fatigue around trivial tasks. Every time you see a small task and decide to defer it, you're making a decision. Do I do this now? Do I add it to my list? When should I schedule it? Your brain burns glucose making these micro-decisions. And you have a limited supply of decision-making energy each day. Research by psychologist Baumeister shows that decision fatigue is real and measurable. The more decisions you make, the worse your subsequent decisions become. By the end of the day, you're making poorer choices because you've depleted your decision-making capacity on hundreds of trivial choices. The 2-minute rule removes the decision entirely. You see a 2-minute task. You do it. No deliberation. No weighing options. The rule decides for you. And this preserves your decision-making energy for choices that actually matter. Here's where the rule gets even more interesting. It creates what psychologists call a completion bias. Your brain loves finishing things. Completing a task triggers a small dopamine release. And when you complete multiple small tasks in a row using the 2-minute rule, you create momentum. You respond to an email. Dopamine hit. You file a document. Another hit. You clear your desk. Another hit. Your brain starts associating action with reward. And this makes starting the next task easier. This is why the 2-minute rule works better than traditional to-do lists for small tasks. To-do lists create the illusion of progress without the neurological reward of completion. You write down 20 tasks. You feel productive, but you haven't actually completed anything. Your brain doesn't get the dopamine. The 2-minute rule flips this entirely. You complete tasks immediately. Your brain gets the reward immediately. And completion breeds more completion. Now let's talk about when to use this rule and when it backfires. Use the 2-minute rule for maintenance tasks. Putting things away. Quick communications. Basic hygiene. Administrative tasks. Anything that prevents future problems if done now but creates clutter if deferred. Use the 2-minute rule during transition moments. Between meetings. Before starting deep work. When you first get home. These are natural breakpoints where small tasks fit perfectly. Use the 2-minute rule for tasks that block other tasks. If you can't start the important project until you send that quick approval email, send the email immediately. But don't use the 2-minute rule during deep work sessions. If you're in flow state working on something important, don't break your focus for small tasks. Protecting deep work time matters more. Don't use the 2-minute rule for tasks that seem quick but actually aren't. Checking social media feels like a 2-minute task. It never is. Your brain lies about time estimates for pleasurable activities. Don't use the 2-minute rule as procrastination. If you have an important difficult task to do and suddenly you're doing every small task in sight, you're avoiding. The 2-minute rule should clear mental clutter, not create it. Here's how to implement this starting today. Pick one category of small tasks that currently pile up in your life. Maybe it's emails under 3 sentences. Maybe it's household items that need to be put away. Maybe it's quick administrative tasks. For the next week, apply the 2-minute rule to only that category. When you encounter one of these tasks, do it immediately. No exceptions. No deferring. See what happens to your stress level. Most people report feeling noticeably lighter within 3 days. The constant low-level anxiety about small undone tasks simply disappears. After a week, add a second category. Then a third. Build the habit gradually. Your brain needs time to rewire the automatic deferral response into an automatic completion response. One powerful variation is the 2-minute decision rule. If making a decision takes less than 2 minutes of actual thinking, make it immediately. Which restaurant for dinner? Decide now. Which shirt to wear? Decide now. Close the loop and move on. Now here's what the 2-minute rule doesn't do. It doesn't help with large complex projects. It doesn't overcome deep procrastination on important work. If you're avoiding your quarterly report, the 2-minute rule won't help. You need the strategies we covered in episode 1. The 2-minute rule also doesn't work if you're constantly interrupted by other people's urgent requests. If your job involves firefighting all day, you need different systems for protecting your time. And the 2-minute rule can become a trap if you use it to avoid discomfort. Doing 50 small easy tasks feels productive. But if those tasks are distractions from one important difficult task, you're just procrastinating in motion. The real power of the 2-minute rule isn't about productivity. It's about self-trust. Every time you tell yourself you'll do something later and then don't do it, you erode your trust in your own commitments. But every time you see a small task and complete it immediately, you build trust. You prove to yourself that when you identify something that needs doing, you follow through. This strengthens your relationship with yourself in ways that extend far beyond small tasks. You're not broken. You're not disorganized. You're not lacking discipline. You're a human being whose brain evolved to defer anything without immediate consequences. The 2-minute rule works because it makes consequences immediate. Complete the task now and get the reward now. Your brain understands that math perfectly. Next time on Mind Decoded, we're tackling one of the biggest questions in self-improvement. Motivation versus discipline. Which one actually matters? Which one leads to lasting change? And what science says about building a life that doesn't depend on feeling motivated. Don't miss it. And that's how the mind works. If this helped you understand yourself better, subscribe for weekly psychology insights. Thanks for watching.